So my name is Father Bruce Wellems. I'm a Claretian missionary, so they put the letter CMF after my name, which stands for Cordis Mariae Filiate, Son of the Heart of Mary. You know, I've talked to the people here about voting, and well, you can find a lot of reasons, and they'll give me good reasons and bad reasons. And I say, you know what, if you don't vote, don't talk to me. Don't complain about what's going on, because you have a right, your voice counts. As Catholic, as Christians, we believe that we are treasures of God and that we're here in this world for a purpose, but you can't know that purpose. So you're given a right to make a difference. You know, I mean, you're taught this. And to participate in the voting process says, I am using my voice and I'm saying to the community, I am somebody who gives back. I am somebody who takes this responsibility seriously. And when you step into that voting booth, you look at those names and you say, oh my gosh, have I educated myself about these judges? What difference does a circuit court judge make? Well, go visit the circuit court and go see what a judge does and talk to these judges. And it's amazing the responsibilities they have on their shoulders. And who's going to hold them accountable if we don't? If you say the other person will do the job, I say you're giving up your responsibility, and I don't think that's right. I think, yeah, if you have a right to vote, exercise it. Back of the Yards community is a community of about 38,000 people, bounded by an area of basically Pershing to 55th, Halstead to Western. It's a Mexican-American community. 50% of the population is under the age of 20, basically. Very densely populated with youth and children. Gang violence in the neighborhood is really driven by what happens in the domestic environment. And so our community is low income. It's an immigrant community. A lot of people come here for the first time. They're afraid. Sometimes they're confused. They're hit very hard by the economy of not just the neighborhood, but the situation they suffered in Mexico. So coming over the border is a big issue. Probably, I can't even gauge the percentage of the population that's undocumented. I've thought it as high as 30–40%. Other people tell me 15%. It's not one of those things you get a very good survey of. But I know that the unemployment rate certainly hovers around 30% or more. I mean, people really have to scrape to get jobs. A lot of parents have 2 jobs. And what that does is it puts a tension in the family. Since money is a difficult situation, the men come home. If they don't feel dignified by their work, if they don't feel supported, they'll turn to drinking. I think alcohol is the #1 issue of drugs in this community. Domestic violence is on, you know, it rises up in the face of those kinds of challenges. When you have a domestic violence issue taking place, or when there's domestic violence in the house, kids are forced onto the street. I like to discuss a lot the issue of how we see gang violence, because it creates a lot of fear in people's minds. And I think the mission of the church today, and it's one thing we preach, is to take away fear, to break down fear. It's not bad to be afraid, that's a natural response, but what we do with our fear is key. So it's to convert our fear into confidence, into a hope, really. Sometimes people are afraid and they shut their doors and they hide. What we want are people, what we look for are people of hope who break down those barriers and unite our people. Because united we stand, right? And we're stronger. Si se puede. Where does that come from? It's when we're together that we say that.
My name is Jose Alonso. I'm a parishioner at Holy Cross Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish in the Back of the Yards. Voting is very important in our neighborhood. Understanding the principle that if we don't advocate for ourselves, no one will. And that's something that, you know, in a kind of perfect society, we would hope that legislators would look at us and want to do things for the right reasons because they want to help us. But we understand that politics is the allocation of resources. So it's something that if you're not involved, you will get ignored. So our neighborhood needs a lot of accompaniment, not just from, you know, we're helping each other out, but we also need, you know, political, economical. We need all institutions in our neighborhood to accompany us. Our library in our neighborhood was closed. We have 1 library and it was closed. It's also a safe haven in our neighborhood. So when the library was closed, our neighborhood lost a safe haven. And this is an injustice in the eyes of people, and they're getting ready to respond. If our neighborhood, you know, if other neighborhoods have a library? Why not our neighborhood? The reason why we need people to vote is to be able to give a voice for our neighborhood. Too long has our neighborhood gone without a voice, and if people don't vote, then that means we don't have a voice in the political sphere.
There are people in this country who want to vote and can't. You know, they have felonies, they're undocumented, and they want so much to participate. And our country has said no. And they work harder sometimes than people who could vote and say, I'm not going to vote. That's a crime. I think that's non-supportive of our brother and sister. So we should vote on behalf of them if we're not going to vote on behalf of ourselves. If you truly want to serve and care for the other, seek out somebody that can't vote and vote for them.